We have returned to the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560, The Answer. I am your host. Like the guy just said, I'm Steve Leahy. This is my co-host.
And I'm the co-host, just like he said.
You
said it in the first segment.
I did say it. But I want to say it in another segment.
I do want to apologize to you, Attorney Leahy. I did cut you off.
Okay.
I got riled up in that first segment, as we usually do.
But because, but let's just go into the next segment.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
I'm chuckling because of I told you last week I told you about Jessica with the new blog segment.
Jessica's the one who edits our videos, where you can see on ChicagoTaxTeam.com. Remember, it's going to be your hub for IRS issues and really any financial issues.
Actually,
Stephen Leahy's your guy.
And loan modifications. Not a lot of loan modifications out there anymore like there was.
Sadly.
Or foreclosures. No, because that's good. People aren't losing their house.
Oh.
And so that's good.
Well, I mean, that's terrible to say. Sorry.
No, so there just isn't as many. Again, that's good. So
Gladly. There are not anymore.
That's what I meant.
That's right.
That's what I meant.
Although if you're a
That's what I meant.
foreclosure attorney, maybe not a good. Maybe it's not so glad. But I'm always, I always talk about the IRS, and I would like to get it abolished. My wife, what are you, crazy? What are you, goofy? What are you, nuts? But I'm I'm for Americans, and so I think sometimes the IRS is oppressive, and that's why I get so much joy helping people with it, because it is oppressive, and they think that they're nice people. We just call them and talk to them. Nah, it doesn't work that way. So anyway, I was.
You know what the coolest part is?
What is the coolest part?
Is that if you're having issues and the IRS is coming after you, you can hire somebody and you don't have to talk to the IRS.
That's absolutely true, Jim. That's
not a lot of people know that.
That's a very good point. When you hire me, I talk to the IRS. You don't ever talk to the IRS again.
How cool is that?
I won't let you go down to their office. I won't let them browbeat you. And I actually make them come to my office if I can. Now, sometimes they make us go down, but I never bring my client. I never want my client to meet with the IRS unless it's to your benefit. And I have had rare instances when it would help you to go talk to them, but almost never. And so that's a big thing, because I think we talked about this last week, is that sometimes they get you to go down there for an audit, and you'll be sitting there for 7 or 8 hours, and they'll be browbeating you for the whole 7 or 8 hours. I had one client tell me, I was in tears. I couldn't. And that's what they do. But anyway, the title of my blog post, remember I have a blog post on ChicagoTaxTeam.com. Mm-hmm. And if you go to the blog post today, the blog is Who Files Bankruptcy? The answer will surprise you.
Ooh.
And, because a lot of times people, and this is what I'm going to get into this in just a minute, but first I'm going to tell you that about what bankruptcy is. And, bankruptcy is a federal law. So a lot of people don't understand that it's administered by the federal court system and not by the states, although every state has some different rules on bankruptcies. Although it gets complicated. That's why it gets complicated, because there's different laws in different states, but it's still a federal law and all this. In Illinois, we have the unique distinction now having the most bankruptcies filed in our district than any other district. And the first 3 months of 2016 nationwide was over 200,000 bankruptcies were filed. So it's not just something that a couple of people do. Now, before, and I think it was the high in 2005, was almost 2 million cases in a year. 2 million people file bankruptcy. It's a lot of people. There are 90 bankruptcy courts. They're each a unit of the United States District Court. And we're in the 7th Circuit, so we're in the Northern District of Illinois. We have 10 judges here. There's another retired judge that has a limited calendar. So we kind of have 11. The other one used to be the biggest bankruptcy court, had the most filings, was in California, and that court Congress tells them how many judges they can have. That judge, now they're second, so we have the most. They have 23 judges down there to handle those cases. We only have 10, so we're doing more work with half the case. No, I don't think that's I think probably 23 is overkill. I think probably
it's California.
It's California, so it's kind of overkill. So there was a recent, there's 18 counties in the Northern District of Illinois, and they include, in the Northern District of Illinois, bankruptcy courts are in Chicago. There's one in Joliet. There's one in Rockford, and there's one in Lake County. It's kind of been moving around. I think it's in Round Lake now. Used to be in Waukegan. Used to be in, they moved it around a little bit. And now there's one. And the other one is
Do you make those travels
Geneva.
to, like, let's say Joliet?
I have been to all of these courts. Yes, okay. I have been to all of these courts. And in Geneva, and they used to have one in DuPage, and they moved it. Now they moved it because Geneva's right up the block from DuPage. So I guess they're trying to save money by limiting, kind of consolidating these counties. So they don't have one in every county. So, for instance, if you're in LaSalle County, you probably go to Will County if that's where your court would be.
Isn't that so staggering just to see we're like the largest bankruptcy claims?
Yeah, it is.
That's very scary.
Well,
Remember, ladies and gentlemen,
that
goes with the theme.
Right.
That goes with the theme that we were just saying in the first segment. It's let's get back to how it used to be because this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
I agree with that.
Is that how you want to live? Is that how we want to live?
So the recent study showed that the number one reason why people file bankruptcy is medical bills. And the second reason is job loss. So a lot of times the people don't have any control over those two things. So they're not
third reason?
They're not people, I don't know.
The third reason is Cubs tickets.
That's right.
Those are expensive.
So a lot of my clients, I always tell people there's 6 things you can do if you owe the IRS money. And one of those 6 things is you could file for protection under the bankruptcy laws. Now, a lot of my clients are reluctant to even discuss it, because it's not on their moral radar screen. I've always paid all my bills, and I just won't even discuss bankruptcy. And I always have to break it down to this way. I always tell people there's 2 different types. There's 2 real things going on here. You have legal obligations and you have moral obligations. Mm-hmm. Now, bankruptcy can't protect you from your moral obligations. If you have a moral obligation to pay somebody, you could pay them. But what you're trying to protect yourself from is legal obligations because they're taking legal action to collect, and if they do that, it'll crush you. So you need help to have some relief, and that's what bankruptcy will help you do. It'll help you protect you from the legal obligations. Now, one of my favorite stories is Honest Abe Lincoln. He filed for protection under the bankruptcy laws. Okay, how does he get the moniker Honest Abe? Right, because he had people coming after him, and they were taking legal action against him, and he needed to protect himself from the legal obligation. But he still felt a moral obligation to the people that he owed the money to. Mm-hmm. So what did he do? He paid them all back. There's nothing in the bankruptcy code that says you can't pay them back. You could still pay them back. And so if you feel a moral obligation, you file bankruptcy and you feel a moral obligation to pay the IRS, you can do that. Now, a lot of times what happens with tax debt is you have the underlying debt and then you have all these penalties and interest, unreasonable amounts. Mm-hmm. So maybe you think, well, I don't really think I have a moral obligation to pay the penalties and interest, but maybe I have a moral obligation to pay this underlying debt. And you can do that if you want. Okay. So bankruptcy would allow you to protect yourself from the legal obligation. They can't take away my money. They can't garnish my wages. They can't freeze my bank account. They can't take things away from me. But it does. If I feel a moral obligation, I can still be free to turn around and pay them if I want to.
So here's the thing. That's all great and everything, but I mean, we could go in depth, but we only have a little limited amount of time. Mm-hmm. What if I want to be able to get more information about bankruptcy, or read more into this?
Well,
what can I do?
A couple things you can do. You can go to our website, ChicagoTaxTeam.com. Uh-huh. You go to our YouTube channel, right? We just did that. And a lot of this is on I have a lot of videos there that will explain all this and the podcast and all that. Or you can just give me a call at 312-664-6649. Again, that's 312-664-6649.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the guy can't help you if you don't give him a call. Now, the blog segment's over and everything's done, but boy, ladies and gentlemen, that was a lot of fun. I did a little rhyme right there. So, guys, we just want to let you know the time is running down here. Again, Opem Tax Resolution is a local Chicago firm. Stay local, think local. Call 312-664-6649 or visit chicagotaxteam.com. Your hub, your central for IRS-related issues and knowledge. Now, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned because after the commercial break, we're going to be doing a little IRS saga. So stay tuned only on the one station in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer.